Hi, my name is John Whitehead, and I'm an executive and leadership coach, and welcome to this week's video blog post. Now, I work with emerging and senior leaders in organizations, and one of the things I work with them on is their communication skills. I also work with them on time management skills, general soft skills that relate to their day-to-day work. And another area I work with them on often is their own personal succession plan, how they're developing leaders themselves within the organization. Part of that conversation often leads to this whole idea of using a coach approach in their leadership style. So this is as compared to the command and control approach. The command and control approach is where you would say, I need you to do this, do it. Or somebody comes into your office and asks you a question, you say, well, this is what you do. So it's just cut and dried. The coaching approach, or often I've known it as, before I knew it as a coach approach, I knew it as the commitment model. And the commitment model says you get others involved and you help them be committed in the process. And you use that by coaching those individuals. So for example, the example I just used, where you get an employee walks in the office and says, hey boss, I've got a problem with XYZ. What should we be doing? And you say, well, this is what you should be doing. That's command and control. A coach approach would be that employee comes in your office and says, hey, boss, we've got a problem with XYZ. And you would say, okay, have you got any ideas? Have you got any ideas on what might be happening and what we might be able to do about it? Or you might say, okay, sounds good. What's your solution? Now, I'll say this right up front. Yes, that takes more time, because now you're having a dialogue with that individual, right? They might come up with a solution and you might say, okay, that sounds interesting. Another one you can think of? Or is there any other options that we might have? Yes, it takes more time and it takes more energy. But the reality is, over time, you'll start to seeing things shift. Because over time, what you will get is that employee coming into your office and saying, hey boss, we've got a problem with XYZ. And this is what I think we should be doing about it. Now it's saving you energy, and you can say, hey, that sounds good. Why don't you go with that? Now, there's one other thing there, though. It may be a solution that you may not have suggested, and it may be a solution that may take a little bit longer time. But if it works and gets the results you want, why not go for it? Because what you're doing is you're giving that person now responsibility to do it. You're giving them the accountability to do it. So they take ownership of it and they'll go and get it done. That's using a coach approach. Now, I worked for an organization for a while ago that had what they call a 2-minute challenge, which is what they use to train their supervisors, their leaders in organizations to handle situations like this. And their 2-minute challenge was to, if you came across something in the workplace, you'd state what you observed. And then you'd wait for some sort of response from that employee. And then you would remind them of the process or the goal or what the expectations are, depending on the situation. And then ask them, again, now here's the coaching, ask them for a specific solution. Ask them to come up with a solution. And then finally agree together. And that was a process that they put in place to help the coach. Instead of just running in and saying, hey, you need to be doing X, Y, Z, getting that employee thinking about it. So that's using a coach approach. Now, I'll finish with a funny story that actually happened to me in my old role, when I got a phone call from a fellow that was reporting to me. And he was a manager in the organization too, and he had a number of people reporting to him. But I remember clearly him phoning me one day and saying, hey, John, I've got a question. And I said, okay, what is it? And he said, well, first of all, I've got a favor to ask. And I said, okay. He said, would you please not say, what do you think? I just killed myself laughing, because that's what we would do. That's what we would do. In this case, he just wanted some information. And he was making a point that, hey, that's what you're always doing. But that's what we want to be doing. We want to be empowering our employees to make those decisions themselves. Anyway, that's my blog post for this week. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks very much. Oh, I've nearly forgot, but don't remember, if you got comments or suggestions, just add them to the bottom. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great week.